Hello everyone, welcome to this interview. Today we have a special guest. As some of you may know, that we took an English course, and thankfully, the course has been successfully completed. All of us know that any course that we take needs a teacher, and our course was no different. Thankfully, a teacher from Algeria has taken the course responsibility. She did everything to convey the messages and information that she wanted to give. Especially, her effort amazed us. I have heard so many courses from different people, most of them complaining about the courses because the courses were boring. But in my case, it wasn't. While explaining the course, she was not just trying to teach English grammar stuff, but she also tried to let us to use what we learned in a real situation. And thankfully, she succeeded. And now I'm gonna give a warm welcome to teacher Rokia, or shall I say Miss Rokia, as we know.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks a lot for this introduction. It was really touching. Yeah. And you can drop Miss. Just, yeah, you can call me Rokia. It's okay. So thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for accepting the invitation for interview. And we are really glad to have you with us.
It's my pleasure, indeed.
Miss Rokia, so I'm gonna call you Miss Rokia because I'm not used to use Rokia. If you allow me.
Of course, do whatever you feel comfortable with.
Thank you. Miss Rokia, we knew simply because we were your students and still are students, and inshallah will be your students. But we will be glad if you just introduce yourself, especially for those who don't know you, because you know this interview will be recorded, so some of people may listen in the future and wonder who you are.
As you've just mentioned, my name is Rokia Abdelaziz Atamna. This is my full name, and I'm from Algeria. Yep, I've got a master's degree in English, so I'm a certified English teacher. Yep, this is a short introduction of me. I don't think that people would like to know more about me.
Yeah, just simple and basic information, like the required ones, and thank you. So now we're gonna start with questions, and first we're gonna start with general questions. First, let me start with a simple yet most asked question. And my question is, what is English? Simply what I mean is, why English is the language of controversy, especially between 6,000 or 7,000 languages. Can't we be okay with only using our languages? Can you answer my question?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be so glad to do. So, what is English? This is, such a big and tricky question. And obviously, this question has more than one answer to it, okay? Different people will answer the question in different ways and from different perspectives. But what is English? Of course, English is a language just like Kurdish, Arabic, German. But I can understand from your question, it's not just that simple question, what is English? Why English is spoken? Why English is the most controversial language among so many languages? In fact, people come into contact on a daily basis together, and for example, I live in Algeria, and people use the Arabic language or the Algerian dialect to understand each other, okay, to get some things done. And it's okay among Algerians to use the Arabic language or the Algerian dialect, and it's okay as well for Kurdish to use the Kurdish language to communicate and get a number of things done. But the question is, what if I move from my place where a common language is used, okay, a language that is understood by every single individual living in that community? How can I communicate with the people there who are basically different from me in a couple of ways and in the language used or spoken in that community as well? So here comes the answer to your question, Abdulaziz. So in linguistics, okay, so linguistics is the science, the study of language. For those who don't know what linguistics, sorry, means, when people from different parts of the world meet, they need to communicate. Okay, so you know, if some Kurdish, some Arabs, some, I don't know, Germans, some Spanish meet, and every group speak their language. The Spanish speak Spanish, the Kurdish speak Kurdish, the Germans speak German, the Arabs speak Arabic. Do you think that these people will understand each other?
Yeah, simply we
No,
won't have any communication.
yeah, the communication won't be that successful. Okay, and so many misunderstandings will occur among these communicators or speakers. Thus, we have to have, okay, kind of a lingua franca, a medium of communication to get our messages across, to make ourselves understood. And this is the case of English.
Uh-huh.
So many people have chosen English to be the lingua franca. And lingua franca means the medium, the means of communications among all people around the world. That's why English is a kind of controversial, why it is chosen. Uh, you might be asking why it is not Spanish, for example, or Chinese, because Chinese is the strongest economy.
Yeah, especially in these
But
days.
yeah, this has some historical explanation, you know, because at early ages people migrated from so many different continents to the USA. Okay, those what was known at that time slavery. Okay, it
Yeah.
was
Hmm.
widely spread, and people had to move from their home countries to the USA to work for the rich, and therefore they found themselves obliged to change their language, to learn the English language, to get in touch with the people, the Americans. And yeah, this is why English. This is one of the reasons, I mean. It has so many reasons, and this one is the most important one, why English was chosen to be the lingua franca and is continuing to be the lingua franca.
So basically, you mean in a simpler way that English can gather people around the world to understand each other without having any difficulties.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Thank you.
what's the use? What's the point if I go, for example, to India and I meet some people from different parts of the world, and each of them speaks a different language. How the communication will proceed, how we can get our messages across, how we can convey what we want to say, nobody will understand the other unless we have a shared language. We speak the same language, and a shared language among that we use among different people speaking different languages is called linguistically is called lingua franca.
So, Mr. Rokia, thank you. And my next question is, does it make any differences to know more than one language, especially in the modern world?
Oh, you know what? Another tricky question. It depends, you know. Um, I think, yeah, personally, I think it does make a big difference, particularly in the modern world. As you said, we are open to so many businesses, and most of these businesses, um, you know, make us forced to deal with different people from different parts of the world, and therefore we have to learn kind of different languages to make things work properly the way we want. Yeah.
Especially these days when like a person needs to apply a job, they will ask him or
Exactly.
her
Yeah.
for the languages. How many languages do
Yeah,
they speak?
exactly. For example, here in Algeria, if you want to apply for a job, it's an important, a key requirement that you can speak French properly, speak it and write it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of that? Can we say saying or quote, which says like how many languages do you know means how many personality you are?
uh, what do you mean? Do I believe in it or
Can you give it a little bit of explanation? Like, do you consider it right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's 100% right because, you know, learning a language, it's not only including a language, a code, a systematic, a linguistic, sorry, system, but there's a culture involved there in the learning of any language. And then you are representing a couple of personalities each time you speak a different language, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, Even though when you are speaking only one language, you are in fact having so many different personalities. It depends on the language you use, okay? The diction you use. Okay, so for example, now we are speaking in quite a formal situation. So I have this personality. Now I'm dealing with the situation with the interviewee personality. But when I'm home with my sisters, with my family, I have a completely different personality, and I use apparently very different language to the one I'm using here.
Yeah, that's quite right. So let's move to the next question. Uh, you may know that most of people want to learn English, but unfortunately, usually they give up or they struggle to learn. And they say English is not easy, so I'm gonna give up. And they do. So you as an experienced person, or we can say teacher, could you give us some reasons why they do that?
Okay, basically, let me correct something, if you allow me to do, because
Okay, yes,
it's not
absolutely.
the language that is difficult, that is arduous to deal with. It is the way, the methods they are approaching, okay, they are using, which may create a bit of a conundrum to them while learning those languages. For
Yeah, but
example,
but they think in that way. They say the language is difficult, and which is it is not right. The process of language may be kind of difficult, but the people think the language is difficult. Do you think that they don't give it enough time? They don't give it enough power, enough experience? Think.
No, I don't think it's a question of not giving it enough time or not being as serious as they should be. No, because the fact that they have this desire to learn it, it's okay then. They want, okay? But the question is, why do these people give up? After some time, they find themselves like, oh no, this is such a hard language. It wasn't that easy as I expected at the beginning. Why? Because this is due to a misunderstanding, as I said. Okay, it's not the language that is difficult. It is how I learn the language. Okay, the way I learn the language that makes the language sound arduous, hard to learn. I'm going to give you an example. Yeah, for instance, okay, I'm going to give the example of two people learning languages. One of them is you, Abdelaziz, okay? Because I've noticed your performance and the way you speak English. You've been always, impressing me.
Thank you.
When you started learning language, the English, I mean, when you started learning the English language, I bet you didn't focus on separate words. I mean, learning, memorizing, endless lists of vocab and trying to deal with separate elements of grammar. But I can tell from what I've noticed, you obviously did something like, you picked up some vocab, some phrases, and you immediately put them into practice. Okay? And this is what you told me, Abdulaziz, if you remember. You said you practice the English language through communicating, trying to use the different apps available to talk with different people in English. And this is what made it pleasurable to you, enjoyable, and not boring and difficult. People don't know how to deal with the language.
But it depends on the way that you use to learn the language. So mostly
Exactly.
people don't use the right way, and they think that language is difficult itself.
Yeah, and the problem of most learners, they rely to a large extent on translation, which is no good to learn any language.
And they mostly use traditional way to learn languages, like by using a long list of words and just try to memorize without putting those words in a sentences in a real situation.
Definitely, this is what I was talking about. This is literally what I meant.
So when you started the course, what did you expect from your student, and did you get what you expected? Did anything make you to say, I wish I didn't give that course?
Okay, to be honest, teaching is no easy, is such a complex process, and it's really, really tiresome, you know. And yeah, what did I expect when I started? I didn't expect my students to speak fluent English as soon as we finished the course, but at least I had some objectives that I wanted to reach by the end of the first course. And the most wanted, okay, one is that to get my students to speak the language without having those fears of being embarrassed or caring about their mistakes, or, because once you get somebody think that the language, speaking English in this case, is now embarrassing or humiliating, or won't put me in, I don't know,
In awkward situation.
awkward situation, then you can get the best and the most out what you want to do. To be honest, I didn't get that objective from all the students, because most of them were kind of reluctant to speak, and they thought if they speak they would be kind of laughed at. Okay,
Mhm.
people would laugh at them. But yeah, to some extent I succeeded with some students, because it's not only up to the teacher, it's not only
No,
the
yeah.
teacher's job to
Mostly.
make somebody speak or to help them, I don't know, succeed
Mhm.
to learn the language the way the teacher wants. But I believe that it is up to 80% the student's job task to
Yeah,
do so.
yeah,
Because
that's great. Yeah.
we have two types of motivation. We have intrinsic motivation. This is the type of motivation that comes from the person's inside. It's an inner desire to do
Mhm.
something. And we have what we call eccentric motivation. And this is when you are encouraged by some external factors, like, I don't know, to be awarded or rewarded, praised, things like that.
Mhm.
And sometimes I was kind of criticized for giving loads of or explaining loads of grammar items. Yeah. Even
Mhm.
though I tried to put my students in some speaking contexts, but unfortunately, so many of them were not willing to speak, to take the risk of speaking.
Yeah, because we don't learn if we just study grammar and grammar. It will be dry
Yeah,
and boring.
exactly. Grammar is important, and what I did in the two courses, the first course and the second, I I taught grammar. Yep, I can't deny that, but I always try to relate it, to connect it to some, communicative context.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the first.
Yeah, I emphasized the meaning. The
Mhm.
meaning. This is how natives speak. This is how this grammar item is used in natural language, in a natural context, and so forth. Yeah. But in terms of which course was more successful than the other, in my opinion, is the second one, because I have more students willing to speak and to learn English and to work harder than the first course. Yeah. So
So thank you. Since I have two interviewers with me, so I'm gonna give them I'm gonna give them time to ask their questions.
Yeah, welcome, Miss. Yeah, my first question is what made you to study in an English department?
yeah, it's my love to English. Yeah, I do love English. Yep, I've just I just chose to study it. In fact, there's another reason why. I wanted to challenge myself, because when I first entered
Mhm.
the uni, all I knew about English is the three major helping verbs in English: to be, to have, and to do. So I knew how to conjugate them in all tenses, and
Mhm.
basically that was all I knew
Oh,
about English at that time. Yeah.
yeah, but you succeeded.
Uh, to some extent, yeah, or to a large extent, yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why did you choose the British accent and not the American, even though it's more common?
You are putting me in a pickle with Native Americans and Native Brits. Yeah, again, it's love, you know.
Oh, what's
I
going
love
on
the
with you?
British accent. Yeah, I love the British accent. I love the rhythm, the music of the British accent, and above all, the British accent is sorry, the original, the British
Yeah.
English. Yeah, as a whole is the original language. So, um, I think, as far as I'm concerned, it is better to learn this British accent English. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the,
And
the original, the authentic
yeah,
language. Yeah.
you love it, and you got me into.
I'm glad that
Yeah.
he has the British accent.
Yeah. So, how did you manage to speak British accent fluently?
Oh, basically, it's due to loads and loads and loads hours, in fact, and hours of listening to the to British staff, different British staff, and you know, I still remember that vividly. In 2017, I spent, you know, more than half a day listening to the BBC radio stations,
Mhm.
particularly Radio London and Radio 4. Yeah. And
Great.
it happened all of a sudden. I found myself speaking the British accent unconsciously. I
Mhm.
just got my ears used to it, and here I am speaking the British accent. Not
Yeah.
100 percent a British accent, okay, but I think up to 85, 90%. Yeah, I'm still learning, you know. I'm still improving my British accent.
But I give you up 95.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's so generous of you.
Do you speak language except for English and
Oh,
Arabic?
yeah. Actually, I do. I do speak French and just a little bit of Spanish, which I'm trying to learn for the time being.
Aha. What did you learn while presenting these courses?
Oh, that's such a good question, Shireen. What did I learn? First
Yeah.
of all, presenting these courses was a huge opportunity to me to know my onions, you know, because all I had before the courses was only bare theories about language teaching, but not how to do it, how to practice it. And these courses gave me a full chance to practice my knowledge about language teaching and learning. Yeah, so I learned a lot. Um, yeah, now I know what or how should I deal with language teaching as a practice, not as knowledge. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
and it also helped me, or they also helped me identify the gaps I have. So now I should work on filling those gaps of knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? I'm done.
Okay.
I am done. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks to you, your time and yourself for volunteer you for us.
Okay, it's my pleasure.
Okay, Miss. I want to ask you how can improve English?
Okay, how can you
Yeah,
improve
yeah,
your English?
yeah.
Yeah, basically through hard work. You know, you need to work a lot, to listen a lot, to speak a lot, to read and write a lot. Okay, so give each skill. We have 4 skills in each language that compose any language: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. You have to give these 4 skills equal importance and time. And yeah, you have to be serious as well, committed and dedicated to improving your English.
Okay, Miss. When make you make a question, another question for me when you answered. Uh, each way is good between among read and write and listen is better for improve.
Really, I can't quite get your drift here. What do you
Mhm.
mean? Which skill is more important than the other?
Yeah,
Basically,
please.
it
Mhm.
depends on what you are interested in, okay? If you are interested in speaking, then I advise you to do loads of speaking and listening, or listening and speaking. But if you are more interested to know how to write, then you have to go for reading and writing. Do loads of reading and writing. But again, I have to emphasize the importance of the 4 skills together: speaking, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. You won't lose anything if you focus on the 4 skills. It will be in your own benefit, you know.
Mhm. Next question. In your opinion, why English or other languages is important?
Why English and other
Or
languages
yeah,
are important.
yeah, for learn and for with you.
For me,
Why?
which
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no language is important or less, more important or less important, you know.
Mm-hmm,
Unless you have something to do with the language, then it becomes your first priority. For example, I studied English, so English is important to me. I have to work on it on a daily basis, or at least on a regular basis, okay, to learn new things, to get better.
mm-hmm.
You see?
Uh, yeah, we can say English is important more than other languages.
Well, we can say English is more important than the other languages just because it is the first language spoken, okay, in the world by people.
Mhm.
But I
As
think, in my
okay.
personal opinion, every language is important, at least for their speakers, for the speakers of those languages or that language.
uh, learn language is difficult to learn for blind.
Oh, that's such a big question, and it's a good
Mhm.
question as well. Oh, learning a language could be, yeah, could be a challenge to the
Mhm.
blind, um, particularly spelling. Okay, the spelling bit
Mhm.
of a language. could be a bit intimidating and arduous for the blind. Otherwise, no, it's not that difficult. A blind can learn a language, and in so many instances, the blind can learn languages better than some sighted. Yeah, I'm not underestimating any sighted person here, but I'm speaking based upon what I know and what I see, what I've experienced.
What is the difficult thing for your teaching
The difficult
thing? Yeah.
thing for me as a teacher, well, there's no more difficult thing for teachers than dealing with students. Although if we have those good students, still teaching is no easy, because we are dealing with human beings
Yeah.
and changing moods. Sometimes what I find difficult is when I praise a student for doing some terrific job. Yeah, sometimes I think this would be or could be kind of a put down to their mates, you know. And I find myself sometimes kind of forced to praise those who are, let's say, a bit lazy, just to make them keep up with their successful and good ones, good students, peers.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Yes.
sometimes when I praise as a teacher or teachers praise students, I don't know, it can put somebody else, some other students, in a very, very hard situation, kind of a pickle. So I'm not gonna speak from now on. The teacher um, is not aware of the effort I'm making. That's why sometimes we have to praise other students, although we know that they could do better.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's just kind of laziness on their part, trying to get some
Uh,
praise without doing anything. Yeah. Next question.
okay. I'm No, I'm done. And thanks for your volunteer yourself for us all times, all things, all time.
It's been a huge honor to me, to be honest, yeah, because I myself learned so many things in relation to my um, job as a teacher, and even this gave me some extra personality growth as well. So it was such um, a good chance to do that. I've never imagined myself teaching online because
Mm.
as you know, I don't like tech. I'm not interested in it. And I don't find teaching online to be as effective as teaching in a real normal classroom. But ironically, my first experience in teaching was online and it was amazing. Yeah, it was glorious. So proud of it and so proud of you guys.
Uh,
Yeah.
we proud you.
So, Ms. Ruqayya, shall I ask you last question?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What advice would you uh, what advice would you recommend to all those learning English?
Okay, I think if I am to advise anyone trying to learn English or any other language, that
Mhm.
would be please stop procrastinating. Just do what you want to do. Don't say, oh, no, mm, I'm going to wait till next month, next year, or till I learn more vocab or more stuff about the language being learned. No, just take the risk and do it right now. Stop procrastinating. It's no good.
Yeah.
And don't care. Don't care about the mistakes. Yeah, sometimes when we make mistakes, or let's say boobs, embarrassing mistakes that we consider to be boobs, yeah,
Yeah.
let's just close our eyes and pretend that we didn't do them or didn't make them,
Yeah.
okay? Because sometimes people laugh at us and they go just oblivious, deal with what they did, with loads of oblivion, which means they laugh at us because we are making some silly mistakes maybe, and then they behave as if, or they act as if they didn't do anything harmful. So don't care. It's normal to make mistakes. It's good sometimes to make mistakes. Just bear in mind, this is a language that is, in some cases, totally different from your own. Just give it a go, be serious, committed, and dedicated to it, and you will succeed. Be patient as well. This is another advice.
Yeah. And don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Yeah, I was talking about that. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid of making mistakes or being embarrassed or humiliated or even bullied for making mistakes, or boobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just be patient.
Yeah.
Oh,
An
thanks.
important day for us.
Yeah.
For me as well, really. It's been a real
Yeah,
pleasure to be
it
here
was
and to talk
amazing
to
to
you
have you with
guys.
us. We are really proud of you
Yeah.
to have such a teacher like you. We are really proud
Volunteer
of
teacher.
that. Thank you. You gave us a lot of things.
Oh, thanks. Your words, guys, your words are lifting my spirits up, really, making me even work harder to give better things in the future.
Inshallah. You're gonna do it
Inshallah.
better. You're gonna
And
reach the levels that you need, and the highest level in the dunya and the other world, inshallah.
inshallah, I hope so. Do hope so, guys. Just keep up the hard work and don't be afraid or embarrassed about it. Okay? Just
Okay,
do it with
I try.
pride. Okay? It was an amazing experience indeed.
At the end, thanks a million, Miss Rokia. We had brilliant time with you.